Welcome back to the Lehocky Eagles postgame show, and it is time to get the man's opinion, the man who covered the game for JAKIB Sports. Let's welcome in John McMullen to the program now. All right, John, listen. The bottom line is they got the number one seed. They survived with Jalen Hurts. The flip side is they really didn't show they were playoff ready. What say you today?
No, it wasn't good. There's not a lot of style points in this game. I mean, the Giants didn't play anybody. They didn't play any of their key players. So I think they were hopeful, to put this one away early, and all of a sudden the starters have to play the whole game, and you're kind of holding on at the end. Desperation onside kick. I don't want to overstate it. It was never like anyone felt the Giants had a chance to win this game, but considering who they played, it was a really disappointing effort. Now, that said, Nick Sirianni admitted, look, Jalen Hurts is still hurting. He played through it essentially because they needed him to play through it. They're able to get the win. Now he gets another week to rest this thing up, but it wasn't good. It wasn't a good, crisp performance. And you see this offense, guys, you see it struggle without the threat of Jalen Hurts pulling the football in the zone read. That is such a threat to the defense. And when you take it away, this offense just isn't the same. A bunch of people ask me, are they being vanilla on purpose? I mean, the Eagles' offense is pretty simple. So when you take the zone read part of it out, it looks simpler, because it's simpler for the defense. And I think that was the issue. So as you move forward and you start looking at the divisional round, they need that part of the offense back in the offense, or it's going to continue to struggle.
John, it's something that piqued my ear that you just said that Sirianni, correct me if I'm wrong, Sirianni came out and said that Jalen is still hurting, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So he's still hurting. Then why would you come out and throw the ball the first 10 passes of the game? The first 10 plays of the game are pass plays, instead of running the football against a defense giving up 145 yards a game.
Yeah, I don't think it is, when we're talking about Jalen Hurts' injury, I don't think throwing is the problem. I think contact is the problem. I think when he gets hit on the shoulder, when he gets banged on the shoulder, that's the problem. I don't think there's any restrictions to him throwing the football. So from that standpoint, that's what the Eagles wanted him. They wanted him throwing the football from a clean pocket and getting things done that way. It worked a little bit in the start of the game. It didn't work. Obviously, A.J. Brown had the big slant on the first offensive play. But, the Giants are the Giants, and Wink Martindale's Wink Martindale, and they start bringing that pressure.
Yep.
Sometimes it gives and sometimes it takes away. The Eagles got the big shot, and A.J. Brown down the field as well on the 50-50 ball. But they started getting home a little bit as well, and all of a sudden, a clean pocket, Jack Driscoll's out there, yada. It's a bigger problem than it should have been. It was just an ugly game all around, but they got it done, and it's very important. It's more important than ever before to get that number one seed, because when they went to 14 teams, obviously there's only one number one. There's only one bye. There's always only one number one, but now there's only one bye, so that's a huge advantage.
John, we talked about this earlier, and I just felt like, if he wasn't ready, then why put him out there? If you're gonna put him out there,
they can't win without Gardner.
No, I get it. I get it. But you know what? At the same time, if you're gonna play him out there and protect him, venture to say that if the Giants play their starters, if this is a situation where they have to win, the brand of football that the game plan that they put together played right into Wink Martindale's hands, if you will. You want Jalen Hurts in the pocket. You want him to have to operate and play from the pocket under duress, and they were able to do that. After those first couple of big plays that the Eagles made in the passing game, they were able to keep him in the pocket. They were able to confuse protection They had a lot of free runners that came at Jalen today. And, he took 3 sacks. A lot of them, in my opinion, he didn't have to take them. You just get outside the pocket and throw it away. But he took 3 sacks, and he threw a whole bunch of balls away. In your mind, how did they just flip the switch in 2 weeks in a divisional game?
Well, I think the hope is he's healthier and you can bring what he does back, everything as far as what he does back in the offense. Jalen himself admitted that he was, doing some things and was cognizant to make things a little bit safer for him. So he knew it. He understood it as well. And that's why you saw maybe more of willingness to slide on that one play where he took a sack. He slid really, really quickly. You mentioned he threw the football away a few times. He did that on purpose because he was fighting through this. So, I think the Eagles do a disservice to their players at times when they're not honest about injuries. And if you go all the way back to when he first suffered this injury, the Eagles were acting like, oh, he might be back the next week. He's a superhero when it comes to healing. No, this was a serious injury. This was a 2 to 3 week injury, and this was the 3rd week. And he's still sore, and he's still struggling to come back from it. And now, and I don't blame people, they're asking the questions of what the heck is wrong, thinking, oh, he should be fine, he should be fine, he should be fine. Well, that's because the Eagles spread that disinformation. He's not fine. And all of a sudden they show up and Nick Sirianni, the head coach, is now saying, oh, he's hurting. And Jalen Hurts is admitting, oh, I'm hurting. But they felt they needed him for this game. They did need him for this game. They managed to get the win. They got out of there. Now they have the extra week. Hopefully that helps. I don't know if he's going to be 100%, though, when the divisional round comes.
John, and see, this is the thing I think that is freaking out Eagle fans and us right here, because there's a fine line here between thinking in 2 weeks they could get back to perfect, and the other side of that line is, well, maybe they can't because he's still not 100% and he's still going to be feeling his way. What side of the line are you on right now?
Well, I'm on the side that he's got for the Eagles to be what fans think of the Eagles. This explosive offense. You have to have the threat of him running the football in the equation because that's what makes things difficult for the opposing defense. So when he's not going to pull the football and the defense figures it out, it becomes much easier to deal with the offense. Now, if they have to rely on him as a pocket passer, he's still their best alternative by a wide margin. But you got to go about things a little bit differently. Where I disagree with some of the critics, and maybe you go back to 2017 and the shift from Carson Wentz to Nick Foles and the Eagles kind of remade the offense. That's rare. You don't remake offenses in week 18. So, to expect them to turn into Bill Walsh in the West Coast offense or expect them to turn into the Houston Oilers and use the I formation, that's silly. That's not what they do. That's not what they practice. That's not what they practice all year. So you sort of have to make do. That's what the NFL is about. It's about attrition. The good news is a lot of guys around this league are banged up in every other playoff team. The Eagles have some banged up players. The good news is he's going to play through it. The good news is Lane Johnson's going to try to play through his injury. The good news is C.J. Gardner-Johnson was back and played through his injury and looked pretty good. So this team is getting healthier, and if you want optimism, that's sort of what I'd hang my hat on.
John, a topic that has been discussed in our Sports Take show throughout the course of this week and, of course, on the pregame show earlier today. Would you consider moving C.J. Gardner-Johnson to the slot, or do you leave him where he is and just go with Josiah Scott where he is?
Yeah, the Eagles actually did that. I don't know if people noticed, but the Eagles used CJ in the Avonte Maddox role that they were using Avonte for that final game and a half before he got hurt. So on base downs, when they had the base defense, CJ was playing safety, his normal position. When they needed a nickel corner, they were playing CJ at nickel corner, and Reed Blankenship was rotating in at safety. So that seems to be the way they're going to go without Avonte Maddox. So it's kind of a decision of Josiah Scott or Reed Blankenship, to be honest. You can keep CJ at safety, play Josiah Scott in the nickel, or you can do what the Eagles did today. That keeps CJ on the field for the entire game. It gives him an impact on both positions. He can handle it. He's played slot corner for a long time with the Saints. And they think Reed has played a little bit better than Josiah.
John, I'm a little more concerned about Darius Slay than I am, what's going on at the safety or the slot corner position. He just doesn't look right, and he hadn't looked right for a long time.
Yeah, he's had, I would say his first half was lights out, and his second half of the season, little bit of a regression to the mean. Still a very good corner. He had a chance at a pick six today that went right through his hands. The Galladay touchdown at the end, that's a great catch. I mean, that wasn't terrible coverage, and that's just a tremendous catch. So sometimes you got to tip your cap to the other guy. But, yeah, I would agree that Slay hasn't played up to his standard over the past 6 or 7 games. But even when he's not playing at sort of an all-pro level, he's still one of the best cornerbacks in this league. So generally he's not somebody I worry about. And Bradbury continues to play at a tremendous level. I don't take too much of the defense in this game because Davis Webb was so limited. He didn't belong out there. So I don't take away much of the good at all, to be honest, because this wasn't a challenge. And I know people are going to look at the final score and say it was too close, and it probably was too close. But I also think there's a human nature aspect to it. The Eagles saw who they were trotting out there. I mean, they didn't play anybody. Like I said, they didn't play anybody. And there's a little bit of human nature to breathe out a sigh of relief. And it was an ugly win. But, Nick, one of the first things Nick said is, you don't get style points. And he's right about that.
Man, I hate it when you agree with Mike Missanelli. I just see it in a completely different way because my mindset is if I'm varsity and I get a chance to play against JV, I'm padding my stats. I'm not coming in thinking that, I can take it easy because I got lesser. No, I got an opportunity to really dominate in a massive way so that the rest of the second half we can let, the AYOs play and we can go sit and take our shoulder pads off.
That's my biggest criticism is the starters played this whole game. And there's no way. It was 19-0. And Marcus Epps dropped an easy interception.
Yep.
I mentioned the Slay. He dropped a potential pick six. TJ was a little bit tougher, but TJ had both his hands on the football. They could have had 3 interceptions, and this game would have been probably 30-0, and everybody would have sat. So, the defense left some plays out there. They should have intercepted him, and who knows? 1 or 2 of those, you just make simple plays, and Davis Webb probably falls apart. But they didn't do it. But they also didn't give up big plays. They didn't give up terrible things as well. So you put both parts of that in the equation. And it really, the one offensive play, I said, wow, that was a good play by the Giants, was the Galladay catch. That was a great catch.
John, listen, thank you so much for hanging around and talking to us. I know what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks. And I know it's fan base, and this fan base is going to now be in a little bit of a limbo doubt type of situation where they weren't before because of this. It might be fair, might not be fair, but I think that's what we're gonna have now for the next 2 weeks. Fret until we actually get to the game. Thanks for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
John McMullen covering the game for JAKIB Sports. Seth, I will say this if we get to a break. I don't think they intentionally go out to play lesser than. I think subconsciously the mindset figures in that we can't possibly lose this game because they're playing second teamers, and it's a trap, I think, psychologically for players. And he's seen a lot of games. We've all seen a lot of games, and it happens in the NFL when you least expect it. It's a trap when you think you're better than the other team, and all you have to do is show up.
It's a trap because psychologically and mentally you go through your week of preparation and allow yourself to be lulled to sleep to believe that nonsense, okay? There's only 1,696 players in the entire league, okay? So if you think for 1 second, 1 iota, that there's a team in the NFL that just stinks, think about the Texans game. We rolled down there thinking we was just going to steamroll them. Pierce ran all over our defense, okay, and they kept the game close. We did come out with the win. But to my point, if you want to take the worst team in the National Football League, you know, there's not a team that has 0 wins this year.
Well, but that's my point. They think that way because of what you just said. They know that team is inferior.
That's a fallacy, man, because you know what?
Right.
Listen. Practice the way that you want to play, okay? I've been around football a long time, and I've been playing football ever since I was 9 years old. And the thing that I know, and I had to learn the hard way, is that every time you step on that field for practice, you either get better or you get worse. There is no in-between.
Did you lose to lousier teams when you played?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, why?
Absolutely. Well,
did you ever think your team took somebody lightly?
No, I don't think we ever took anybody lightly. I just think teams have the ability to play, to raise their level of play, especially, you know, like take our defense for example, okay? Our defense, you know, throughout a 3-4 year window was a vaunted defense. So we were a barometer. We were the barometer for the Dallas Cowboys. You understand? When they figured out that they could beat us, they knew that when that offense got to a point where they could handle us, they knew that they could win a Super Bowl. Until that point in time, they knew that they could not win a Super Bowl, okay? So we were the barometer. My point is that as you prepare throughout the week, okay, a coach can look at his team and know whether his players have prepared and know whether they practice hard enough throughout the week to enter a game on Sunday and be ready to get the job done. A coach knows, okay? And when they get to a game on Sunday and know, because as a player, you want to know something? I've been in situations before where I haven't prepared to the best of my ability. I've been in situations where I'm standing there hoping that I'm guessing right instead of knowing what's going on. And I made a promise to myself that I would never put myself in that situation ever again. So to me, it's all about preparation. It's all about preparation. It's all about a good head coach telling his players, don't take this team lightly. I can see the way that you're practicing, and this ain't good enough. So guess what? I'm going to blow the whistle. We're going to go back and we're going to stretch again, and we're going to start practice all over again until you guys decide that you want to play and practice at the level that's going to take to win the football game. You can't just let it go, because if you practice like crap, I promise you, you will play like crap.
All right, we're coming back. The Pine Lehocky Eagles postgame show has the drive of the game. Game balls. We have a game ball today. Can we give anybody a
game ball?
Game balls. We're back after this. Devin Caney joining us after this.